Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Startup Investor Accelerator, our second transatlantic angel conference demo day. We're going to go through a bunch of introductory work and then we'll start the show. So we've been doing some work since September on this program. It has a broad range of engagements with the companies. And we would like to tell you the end result of that work. We will spend some time mingling, a lot of time mingling, trying to work on the question of what is the investment thesis for the investors and what are the key things that make the companies that made it to the finals investable. We'll do a little bit of introductions and talk a little bit about how the process went. We'll do a collection of pitches, and then while the investors go in the back room, we will end up voting and working together for the participants here. Everybody here is a very interesting person, and so it's really worthwhile to get to know who else is in the program, both as investors and participating companies, but as the participants who have come to watch this program who might also be companies and investors on their own right. We have 6 finalists, which we will dive into more deeply here in a second. One of the things that you might like to do is to get to know each other. Now is a good time to engage with sharing LinkedIn if you want to know people, getting things connected. We have a Startup Investor Accelerator link as well that you can use to connect to resources. While you're down inside these breakout rooms, we sure would appreciate it if you spend the time to connect with people directly and try to help people find the other people that will be helpful for them. This as a community activity is really quite a useful thing to network across different countries, since this is transatlantic, both US and Canada, and the greater Europe, from Israel all the way to Alaska. If you want to know more, here's a couple of QR codes that will get you to people applying for the program with the startups or people participating as investors. We're glad to learn more about what you're doing and connect you to our workshops. We will start this program again in January, and so there'll be some more opportunities there. So what did we do? We're going to dive through this process of how we went through the process for the investors. We engaged with workshops, tried to bring in a bunch of companies, went through the process of filtering, and we are now at the point where we think we can make a decision about which company would be the right company to make an investment. This is a learning by doing program where investors have put their money on the table and now are going through the question of where that company as a group should go. We had 1-minute pitches, selected our quarterfinalists, 3-minute pitches, selected our semifinalists, 10-minute pitches, selected the finalists. And then we've gone through 4 weeks of due diligence with those companies. And now today we will find out what we thought about that as a group. So we've been doing this in Seattle for a while. We just completed Seattle Angel Conference 22 a couple weeks ago. We now have more than 500 investors have gone through the program. We have a bunch of startups that have gone through, probably as many as 1,500 at this point, counting both the health and the transatlantic. And our alumni have gone on to do great things. So that's been useful for us as well. We do this kind of work because we know that innovation matters. And we know that investing in innovation requires paying attention, and that by doing due diligence and learning how to do due diligence and learning how to discover which companies are investable and how they can get more investable fundamentally changes the outcomes of what's going on with the companies that we're working with. So we can improve the outcomes of the companies. We can also make money along the way as angel investors. So we want to make sure you know a few things about our learning about angel investing. Angel investing is not like going in the stock market. It's not liquid. You cannot get your money back out. And once you put it in, you're on for the ride. In Europe, there seems to be a habit for some venture capitalists to buy the angels out early, but that's a rare thing in the United States. It may take as long as 10 or 15 years for this to turn into an exit where there's a return for the investor. One of the hard parts is that companies that are not doing well tend to not do well sooner than the ones that are doing very well turn into income. And so the end result is that you invest 10 times and you get a bunch of failures, and then you're 10 years later, you get the positive exits. We know that at the early pre-seed stage where we're at right now in terms of the angel conference, it matters how the relationships work with the companies and the investors. And we think that for both the pre-seed and the seed, team relationships matter, and that it's a relationship-based activity. And since this is a high-risk activity where 60% of the deals will lose you money on average after good due diligence, it suggests that you need to have significant portfolio strategy. And so part of our goal is to get people to think about how they're going to build a portfolio of 20 to 40 deals to make that go. And once again, we're very clear that due diligence matters. So my name is John Seacrest. I've been doing this since 2007. Astrid is my point person in Europe who is helping drive Startup Investor Accelerator into the European context. And we have Elizabeth here helping us today, who is also running the Health Angels, APIS Health Angels program, which all three of those will run in the spring again. We have a bunch of supporters who help us do this. Without the cooperation and support of our sponsors, we would not be doing this work at all. One of the things that's useful is to understand that we have volunteer team members that are engaging in this program. Matteo is the fund manager for this round. He has done the organizing of the process. Matteo, can I get you to step up?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Pleased to be here. I will introduce myself and also share use this time to share my experience in TAAC, since I've been a participant in the first one and a lead investor in the second one. So I guess I can provide the full spectrum. So my name is Matteo Costa. I am a marketing executive at Penguin Random House, which is the biggest trade book publisher. And I have embarked in the angel investing journey only 6 months ago. In fact, as I said, I started with the very first transatlantic conference. It came through as a serendipitous opportunity, since I was thinking about getting into angel investing for a while, but I didn't really know where to start. So when the opportunity came, it felt like, the perfect way to get the foot in the door and to learn the ropes. And as a matter of fact, it was really a great learning experience for different reasons, for several reasons. The first one is the structure. John touched upon it a little bit, but as he said, the program runs for 12 weeks, during which you assess tens of companies at the beginning, and then you kind of like whittle them down to the finalists who are here today to present. And over the course of these 12 weeks, you meet regularly with both the founders and the investors making it a very practical experience, as John said, learning by doing. And the structure basically pushes you to be committed and stay involved from the beginning till the end, kind of like building momentum over the weeks and somehow getting, close and connected with both investors and companies. Almost like it feels like sometimes they think being back in a classroom, except it's like very, very practical. The second reason is the deal flow. When I thought about getting into angel investing, as I said, I didn't really know where to start. Starting from scratch could be a little bit overwhelming, and so it's not easy to identify which companies to look at. So with TAAC, you immediately have access to, as I said, tens of companies. Usually they range, between 50, 80, and they also range from all different sectors and verticals. And I think this really provides you with a steep learning curve as you are pushed to evaluate many different businesses. Initially at a very high level, you start from like 1-minute pitches and just a pitch deck. And then as you progress in the program, you drill further down until you get to a proper due diligence phase, which has been, the last few weeks, last 4 weeks, where you engage with the finalists at a very deep level through, multiple calls. The companies pretty well by now. You review the company documentation. You can even interview their clients, or you can tap into your network to get like a third-party option. So it's a very, very hands-on process. The third reason why I feel like this program was the perfect fit is the network. Throughout the program, you have access to not only brilliant founders, but also like a group of experts, investors, experts in their own sectors who bring in complementary skills, and they're different from each other. This is a great opportunity to expand your network in the startup scene. You build credibility with the work that you do. You create visibility for your professional future, whether you decide to one day become a fund manager or approach angel investing more passively, being part of a fund or a syndicate. It's all like valuable experience and network. And the other part is that you're in this journey with a group of investors for many years, right? Hopefully. So it's not just value of the network. It's just not during the program, but it's also in the years that follow. The fourth reason, which I feel is like the most important or at least compelling part of the program, and it's kind of a combination or an aggregation of the first three that I just mentioned, is the learning part, right? I think nowhere else do you get the opportunity to put your knowledge and perspective into practice, not only generating immediate feedback loop on the impact of your actions, but also triggering an improvement cycle of your skills repertoire. You learn from the participating companies about new ways of disrupting businesses or industries. You learn from other investors, just listening to their comments, their questions, their points of view. You learn a lot from John's mentoring, who is a veteran in the space, but has this great ability to coach and push your critical thinking without necessarily actually never influencing your decisions. So he's a really good mentor in that sense. And the last part that you just learn by pushing yourself to kind of get out of your comfort zone on sectors or businesses or technologies you've never come across before. More importantly, as he said at the beginning, I learned how important it is to develop an investment thesis, which means, what do you care about when you look at investment opportunities? Are you after unicorns, companies that have a positive impact, companies that are scalable? Do you avoid specific industries because you don't understand them, or they're very capital intensive, or won't reach revenues in a few years? Like, as you participate in the program, you start putting all these pieces together and connecting the dots, and you realize what matters to you as an investor. And the best part, as people heard me say over and over again, is that, and I think it was the tagline in that slide, the more you put in, the more you get out. So the amount of learning that you get out of this program, but I guess in general in life, is proportional to the effort and commitment that you put forward. So I found this experience very, very enriching to me. So that was like more the general part of being an investor, or at least my experience in TAAC 1. And then I liked it so much that I decided to not only repeat it for TAAC 2, but also as a lead investor, which basically entails recruiting other investors in startups, negotiating the terms with the finalists first, and then the winner ultimately. And then lastly, managing the relationship with the company, with the winning company over the following years. And I decided to take on the role to basically add new learning blocks to the previous ones as part of my growth as an angel investor. So the recruitment part is basically an extension of the network that I mentioned earlier. You are pushed to reach out to companies and to potential investors, thereby strengthening your brand in the ecosystem. The negotiation has probably been the most interesting part so far. I was able to put into practice what I have heard, read, watched, listened from many different sources on everything from valuations to types of securities that you use, to economic terms, to investors' right, and so on and so forth. And the interesting part is that each company is different, each founder is different, and therefore each conversation is different. And I was actually very fortunate to work with a great group of entrepreneurs in this program who have all been super cooperative in this process. So I'm thankful for this, for this experience. And the last part is that I can't really speak much about the relationship that you develop with the companies, because it's only going to start today, I guess, for me. But what I can say is that I very much look forward to learning how it feels like to be involved in the growth of a company, and hopefully witness, their successful evolution over many years to come. I'll just end by saying that the next TAAC, the next Transatlantic Conference, is going to start next June. So, if you're interested, I encourage you to reach out to me. I'll post my LinkedIn right after this introduction. You can reach out with any questions. We already have a new lead investor who is here, Lydia. She's been a great participant in this cohort, and I'm sure she's going to be a great lead in the next one. And I will only say that, as you can tell, it's been a very exciting journey for me. So I hope that this can inspire others who are here or out there to embark on a similar one, like I did. So you're muted, John.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you for doing that. Let me bring Ophir up. Ophir has been our first lead investor for the first angel conference that we did for Transatlantic. Ophir, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, John.
Good.
Well, I wish you would have put me before Matteo, because how can I go after such an amazing speech? And yeah, Matteo really touched everything that is great about this program. So, risking of repeating some of the things Matteo said, I really believe that this is maybe I'll start by introducing myself first. I'm Ophir. I was the leader of the previous TAAC, the first one that we did, the Transatlantic. We invested in the end. I saw the next slide in a great company called Bluana that his founder is doing substitutes to fish for sushi, vegan substitutes, for fish for sushi, specifically for sushi, which is a niche that I love. I'm from the real estate world. I've been being in the real estate investment world for almost 11 years. The last 4 years, I started to, in the beginning, play around investing in startups. I failed in some of my investment miserably, and I looked for different strategies. And then I came to the TAAC model, which I fell in love with for a few points that most of them Matteo touched, but I will say what's most important for me. So I think this is one of the best methods that John or his fellow investors from Seattle, I don't know who invented this, but it's a great way to really analyze early stage startups, because when you come with relatively lower tickets as we are, it's very hard to get to startups, and even when you do, they don't give you the benefit of the doubt to really, sink your teeth into it and understand them and hear their pitches and do a great due diligence. And this is a system that is so great to really analyze. You really make the best out of your tickets for early stage startups and for people that have our tickets of investments. Another thing is that you get to meet people from all around the world, both entrepreneurs and investors, and you get to know them, and you meet them for coffees, and we meet for Barcelona, and they open doors to each other. And if you need something, then you have someone from that country or from that sector that can help you. And it's basically building a network of fellow angel investors, and it's amazing. And also, I think it's a possibility, mostly as a leader investor, but also not as a leader investor, to build kind of your brand as an angel investor, to kind of show the world, hey, I'm an angel investor now. This is me. This is the things that I do. Get to know people. People get to know you. And it's fun. That's number 4. It's fun. It's great fun, really. So that's it, more or less.
Thank you so very much. Really appreciate all of the work that you did to get this going. Can you give us a hint about where Bluana is with what they're doing? Have they made any progress in the last little bit?
Yeah, he's not here, right? Because I invited him to come. Florian?
I haven't
No.
seen him yet. No.
Okay, so basically Bluana advanced a lot since we voted for them, and unfortunately we haven't invested in them yet, even though everything is set, because we had a long. Florian have tough lawyers, and we've been on and off with their lawyers for a very long time, but now everything is settled and agreed. And Florian himself has advanced a lot in his business. He actually have other investors now, and he's already producing in Romania, and he also producing now in Poland, and he's also doing he's like a main provider of different events around Romania. And his product, when we first invested in them, his product was already okay. I think we all kind of liked the product. We did a blind test, and nobody could tell the difference if they eat real salmon or Bluana's salmon. Some of the money he's going to use from what we give him is obviously for marketing and all the general, but also I guess you can call it R&D in a way, to improve his product. So he wants it to be completely unrecognizable between real. He focuses on salmon and tuna, between real salmon and tuna to his products. And that's it, I think.
Okay, thank you so very much. Really appreciate
sure.
your efforts. So then our goal is to create new angel investors, and Ophir and Matteo have stepped up to not only being investors but being lead investors. But everybody who is joining our program are now, because of our program, are now members of IBAN. IBAN is the Angel Group Membership Association in Europe. In addition, everybody who joins our program is a member of the Angel Capital Association. So we as a group have joined each of these, and so that gives people access to things in terms of workshops and conferences and other training programs, and also helps build out the investor network, so that you can find other people that might share common investment thoughts with you. Being in the United States, I have learned the habit of making sure that we use the lawyer speak. So we're just trying to make clear that the fact that we're doing pitches today is not an offer to anyone. What we're in the process of doing is trying to illustrate to you how angel investing works by showing you the work product of the investors that have gone through our program. We would like you to understand the kinds of companies that are engaging with us at early pre-seed stage. and how far they've gone. It's useful. We had 65 companies come into our program. It's even useful for the companies that did not make the finals to take a look at what kinds of companies made it to the final and what level of progress they're making to compare where you are in the race for outside funding for your company. But we're not looking for investment from anyone because of these pitches. If you're interested in engaging with those companies, you should make sure you connect with the company directly with their information that they're putting into the chat. We had 24 investors for this round, Mateo being the lead, with a bunch of people who have put in many hours. Typically, we spend somewhere between 60 and 80 hours over the time frame that we're doing all of this work. And we ended up with 6 finalists, and we're going to go through these 6 finalists and engage in the process of hearing them pitch and then hearing the due diligence people respond to what they're doing. And this is the order in which we're going to go through those pitches. But before we do that, I would like you to spend a little bit of time getting to know the other folks that are here and trying to connect with each other to get things going. We'll spend maybe 15 minutes in the breakout rooms. Let me get those breakout rooms going here. I have to find the right button. Hold on a second. So you should have a breakout room on your screen. Please go join one of the breakout rooms. Chat with people about what you've heard so far. See if you can understand any of the things that are there. You have the ability to move around in the breakout rooms, so please do move around, meet people, share information. And we'll be back in just a little bit as we start the pitches. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our pitch program. We are going to go through the companies in this order. Each of the companies had a due diligence team that was assigned to them. And in each due diligence team, there was a due diligence lead who was responsible for the process of doing the final due diligence report and organizing all of the participants, make sure all the corners of the company have been done. So we're going to start with Gaston, and then do I know, and then do machinery scanner, and then we'll step over to IP House, Bovie, and S Lab in that order. So Lydia, are you ready? Lydia.
Yes.
And Yogesh, are you ready?
Yes, we're ready to go. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna just put the Gaston due diligence up. So actually, I shouldn't do that. I should stop sharing, and Gaston should do their 5 minutes. So can you share your deck, Yogesh?
Yeah, I have it. Are you able to see my deck now?
Yes, looks good.
Yeah, everybody can see?
John, we don't see it.
No.
I don't personally. I don't know if it's me.
It's coming.
No, I also don't see.
Are we good?
Yes, we're good. Go ahead.
All right.
John,
No,
we don't
John,
see
we
the
actually
deck.
don't see.
You need to switch out of the focus mode.
Thank you. That's my fault. Stop focus mode. that work better?
Not yet. I don't know if they need to start
Okay,
sharing again.
I'm gonna reshare just
Yeah, please.
just in case, right? So screen share. Boom. How's it now?
Yes, good.
Yeah, to me. Okay.
Perfect.
Super. I'll just switch on my timer as well. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Yogesh. I'm the founder of Gaston. We are an early stage startup launched in January this year. Now, yesterday, I was at one of our customers. We were activating them. And I was just talking to him about the core features of Gaston. And next to us, there was a lovely old couple who was having their lunch, and they overheard what I was saying. So the old man turned to me. The old man turned to me and asked me, he said that he's a celiac. And he started asking very specific questions about how Gaston can help him find food that he can eat. Now, after our conversation, he was so excited, he downloaded the app. And not only that, he also said he's going to ask all his family members to download Gaston as well. Now, he's not alone. In UK, we have more than 20 million people who have special diet needs. That's about nearly 1/3 of UK's population. What that means, these folks are either vegan, vegetarian, have food allergies, intolerances, or any other dietary restrictions that limits what they can and can't eat. And I'm also one of them. This group of users do not trust nor use mainstream food ordering apps due to their concerns about the food safety. And unfortunately for some, it becomes a matter of life and death. On top of that, COVID has transformed our food habits. 64% of us here in UK wants to eat healthy all the time. And 94% of us are saying they want to eat at least one healthy meal a day. However, the problem is only 4% of us are able to find healthy meal choices in eating out settings. This collectively represents massive 8.5 billion worth target market for us. And we are aiming to convert 1.5% of that over the next 5 years. How are we going to do this? We have launched an AI-powered app that matches users' dietary and nutritional requirements when they're ordering their next takeaways or meal kits for home cooking. Our app is very simple to use. In a simple few steps, you build your dietary profile. Once you've done that, every interaction you make on Gaston are personalized to you. So for example, I'm vegetarian. So on my version of Gaston, I will never see any meat dishes. So by intelligently removing food choices that are unsafe for users, Gaston significantly reduces chances of getting allergic reactions. We are making money with our two distinct revenue models. We have a commission model where we're charging 8% commissions for food orders and 15% for meal kits and ingredient orders. Our subscription plan, which is designed for marketing services, where our average earning per customer per month is somewhere around £170. With this, we're aiming to deliver more than 200% CAGR growth over the next 3 years, become profitable in year 2 by growing the business in UK to start with, launching a pilot in US to start, and then subsequently launch a full launch in US next year, and further growing business in India. Now, investors, the reason why you should get excited about Gaston is a solid revenue pipeline that we've built so far. Much of our growth has arrived through our organic efforts. We have now signed more than 480 partners on our platform, which is against our year-end target for this year of 85. We have also signed a partnership deal with Culinary Fight Club. They have 25,000 restaurants on their platform. And we are now designing a pilot with their 100 to 150 restaurants in Chicago, which we aim to launch somewhere in the back end of first quarter next year. Our deal with Vegly means we will now have nearly 1 million of their users moving towards Gaston when they're looking for a diet-specific meals. Vegly is a dating app for vegans. And we are also having a technical level conversation with Fork, which is the largest table reservation platform, and with the aim to give out the personalization APIs. Now, I'll be very bold and say that nobody does dietary personalization as we do, especially when multitude of dietary conditions are involved. There are those incumbents providing the dietary filters. However, due to lack of their data validation processes, users do not trust that. And this is where Gaston is leading the way. Now, one of the big milestones that I want to highlight along our growth map is launch of a subscription plan. This will be for users. When we hit about 700 active partners on our platform, we will launch this plan for users where they will be able to subscribe to 1, 2, or 3 meals a week, where our partners will fulfill those requests. So having a combined transaction-driven as well as two-way subscription model means that your ROIs on the investment that you're making will be as high as 22 times. Now, all of this is being delivered with amazing team behind me. We have collectively more than 75 years of experience, domain experience in either its business or commercial, technical, as well as the health and nutrition. On top of that, we are blessed with the access to the finest advisors who are also our investors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lydia, I would appreciate it if you can come on. Hold on, let me get the deck going here. Hit the share screen button. Lydia, are you able to come on?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yogesh, thank you. I want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to be your due diligence team lead. And we're really, really excited by what Gaston is doing. And you've been amazing to work with throughout this. Just to give everyone else a rundown of what we explored during our 3 weeks of due diligence as a company. I think initially there was maybe a misconception amongst the angels that Gaston was designed to prevent people from ever having allergic reactions to food again. And that's absolutely not the case. I think the more we looked into it, the more we saw that this is a very large niche of which Gaston is targeting. The data validation process for those with allergens and intolerances brings the risk down to something comparable with a trusted supermarket or restaurant nearby, thereby opening up the number of choices for those people. But really, the large opportunity is for anyone with a lifestyle choice or cultural requirement, religious diets, or just preferring a plant-based diet, or having multiple requirements at once. So maybe vegan, but also allergic to gluten. And I think we understood definitely after quizzing you about where the commercial opportunities were that London is a perfect place to begin because there's very, very strong takeaway culture, an appetite for delivery foods, and also for specific dietary preferences. And again, we were encouraged to hear that your next focus is New York, because again, the potential for revenue there is high and the culture is similar. Speaking to your customers, I think was one of the most attractive things about this market, because they feel ripped off by Deliveroo, Just Eat, etc., who are charging almost 3 times as much as a commission. And of course, making Gaston the obvious choice, if they would prefer a customer to order through any app, it would be yours. We think that's a very, very compelling proposition. Moving on to the tech and the product, I was lucky to be able to go down to London and spend a full day with Yogesh and Sergio, the founders, and to speak to a customer and just see, does the product actually work and what is the tech involved? Because we're all pre-seed or seed stage companies and everyone's at slightly different stages of maturity with this. And we can vouch that Gaston has a working product, a few bugs in the app around location and sometimes login, but overall a functioning product. We know that some of the most exciting tech for the angels was the AI component, and this has been pushed a little on the back burner to focus on growing an active marketplace. But overall, we understand that the product works perfectly from the restaurant and the delivery side, with just a few steps to go for the user. And finally, we think that the competition, this market is full of sharks, big food service delivery providers, and everyone worries that if someone else decided to do this, to go after the same market as Gaston is, they could do it quickly and they could eat you alive. Although the chances for an acquisition are obviously increased by that if they feel that buying Gaston's services or the company itself would be much more attractive to them than having to go through the pain of building a complex tech solution and onboarding all the restaurants themselves. So jumping on to questions now, we know that you're a small team. There's loads going on, as we've just seen in your presentation. And I'd love if you could talk a little bit more about how you're prioritizing things in the year to come.
Yeah, so I think it's predominantly what we learned over the first 6-8 months. So the idea has been not launching in London, starting with one borough of London, and we made sort of clusters. And that cluster approach helped us really understand what demographics they represent and what type of restaurants those clusters are having more inclination of signing up with Gaston. So that helped us to really crystallize our type of, the customer archetypes, but as well as the user archetypes as well. So this was a first thing that we started with, because that helped us optimize our outreach with minimal efforts. Now, and then the second bit that came, the second wave of growth came for us was the network effect within the restaurants itself. So because every restaurant, when they see a nice, better solution to existing incumbents, they're obviously going to recommend to their mates as well. And that played another a key role for us, signing more restaurants with lesser of an effort. Because we are a small team, we had to be mindful of that. Another area where we looked at, like, how do we reach out to users as well? So because there is a niche that we're focusing on, people who enjoy dietary personalization, it also gives us an idea that rather than mass broadcasting our value proposition, we can just target those, select groups, vegan, vegetarian societies, or allergen-aware groups that are far more active on Facebook and on other platforms. So this is how we started reaching out those users. But what we also learned worked amazingly well is that the direct road shows. So we've done 2 of them. One was in university. So that was an idea to learn how we can evolve our next cluster or the next level of growth. But more importantly, we wanted to learn where are the users, or what type of users we can sign up in much more rapidly. So that helped us, build the user growth, but also the customer growth, in parallel for us. Even though we had a smaller.
Thank you, Yogesh. I know you are excited about your company. Sadly, our time slot is over, and I really appreciate you presenting. Thank you. If anybody's interested in understanding more, we're going to have breakout rooms for people to dive in and talk with the companies in detail after this. So next, I would like to bring up Lucas from Bovi. We're adjusting the schedule a little bit. Lucas? Hello, Lucas. Lucas, can you hear me? Andy Chen, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
Right.
I don't see.
I'm not seeing Lucas. All right.
Lucas is here, but he's muted.
All right. Well, I will skip forward one more then. So IP House,
Yes,
Zhao,
sir.
are you?
I'm here.
Yeah, good and great. Thank you so much, Fernando. Can you start your deck?
Yes.
Yep. Go for it.
Okay, thank you so much. And hi, everybody. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to present IP House. If you walk out, if you live in a large city and you walk out, you're going to see a lot of these empty lots. And particularly in New York City, if you walk around, you would see not only 1 or 2, but thousands of these empty infill lots. So we asked ourselves, why is it that in the most competitive real estate market in the world, you see these types of empty lots? And some of them are even owned by some trust that could develop it for a very, very low cost. So the reason why they're empty is because they're really tough to build. They're narrow, they're difficult to build without disrupting nearby buildings. Construction usually in these places, because the cities, the roads are narrow, it takes years. So communities don't really want to develop them, and they don't want to put something there that looks like a container. That's not a good solution for them. So what did we do? We actually developed a prefab solution that makes sense. So this is not your traditional container. This is a prefabricated structure, a patent pending technology that we have, where we develop a modular system in which we have standard modules, and these modules get connected by proprietary connectors. And by working on these type of modules and connectors, we can actually build a whole building, 3, 4, 5 stories high building in a manual way. This comes flat packed. You can think about it as a building, as an IKEA building, comes flat packed and then go to site and then gets built into the site. By doing this, we can reduce the design time by half. We can reduce the construction time, which is one of the most important things, also by half. And this gives us the opportunity of doing a construction that is much more sustainable, and it can even be circular, meaning that we can retake those panels and then reuse them or rebring them into the construction site. Since we started this conference, we've done great work and we've done great strides. We've also are working right now and have advanced on a digital toolkit, which is going to help the developers, which are our customers. The developers take each one of their empty lots, and with one click selecting the lot, being able to see how one of these buildings are built, select the type of building and the units that they want for the building, and then get at the end the output of manufacturing. And this is going to really simplify their operation. And right now we have 2 main projects going on. One is we're going to do a showcase building in Brooklyn, and we're on the way of that. We're going to have it in April. And we have also right now selected a site in 126th Street up in East Harlem, where you can see that the empty lot, we can build an 8-unit building using our technology. We're right now negotiating with the owner of that. Our business model is that we take a percentage of the construction of the building itself, of the panelization technology, but we also look for great opportunities where there's amazing return on investment in some of these projects, where these lots that are empty can be bought by really cheap. So in this project, for example, the IRR would be about 22%, way above average. We have an amazing team of people. The combination of skills that we have is from architecture, so amazing architecture, amazing financial detailing. We have people that do sustainability, as well as really great leaders in the industry that help us build this. But we also have an amazing group of companies that we work with. We're very asset light. We're not doing everything ourselves. What we're doing is really combining the expertise of amazing manufacturing companies, but putting them together to build a very unique and really, really productive construct for questions.
Thanks so very much. I really appreciate you presenting. Let me find your thing. Zhao, can you come on screen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great, thank you. Let me get the screen sharing going. Okay. Go ahead, Zhao.
Yeah, so talking about our due diligence process with IPOs, obviously one of the big assets that we see from the get-go of the team, as Fernando highlighted too, was the team and their complementary expertise, being Andrew, CEO and an architect, and Alex, the CFO and specialist in the real estate, and Fernando also with an extensive knowledge of sustainable technologies. We also wanted to see like what were the dynamics. So in the different and several conversations that we had with them, we understood that these different skills were actually very good for the dynamics of the team and for the progress of the company, and there was a good flow there. And we also had the opportunity to talk with John Paris from CBRE. He's a domain expert in real estate in the New York area specifically, and is an advisor of IPLs, which is a huge added value there. And we were able also to chat with him and to understand what he sees on his perspective as the biggest challenges and assets of IPLs. One of the questions that's kind of stemmed from the very first sessions that we had about IPLs and in the program from the different investors was the unclarity or the apparent, the perceived unclarity in terms of what was the milestones to scale these projects, and we were able to, during the due diligence to understand that there was well-defined milestones specifically for 2023, with the showcase in Brooklyn Naval Yard being a huge one in terms of not only marketing but also in proofing in de-risking the construction of the first building 2. That will happen in the East Harlem, also as Fernando mentioned. And the other question that stemmed also from the very first sessions was about focus, and especially as we learned during the due diligence in the industry, last year there was a huge happening in terms of one of the biggest companies in the sector, Katara, having been crashed after raising 1.6 billion, and it's unanimously thought by the industry experts that they were trying to do too many things at the same time. And so it was important for us to know if there was focus here also on IPOs. And sorry, can you share the screen? I lost the screen. Hello?
John,
yeah,
You're there?
yeah, it's back. It's back. Thank you. And so it was important to understand also what was the focus in terms of markets and go to market and the market opportunity, and to understand that when we understand that the focus in the short term into getting the business up to scale was New York City, was also important to understand if that was a big enough serviceable, addressable market. And as we saw, and with the assumptions that the IPL's team has, and we were able to come through it, it's a quite significant serviceable, addressable market, multi-billion one, from their estimates that we find reasonable, over 17 billion, sorry. And finally, we also, during this due diligence, we also were able, one of the things that we wanted to cross-check was about the product. We claimed that the solution is uniquely suitable to build on these urban dense urban areas. And we talked with many people from the industry. I lost again the screen, but I'll keep going.
Yeah, we're out of time, sadly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was our 5-minute conversation about that. So for the due diligence leads, if you could jump to the point quickly, that'll help us. Thank you so very much, Fernando. We really appreciate you presenting Thank you, Zhao. We really appreciate you being the lead and driving this process. For those of you that are interested in knowing more about IP House, we will do breakout rooms at the end of this. And so then let me, do we have, let's see, Bovi, Lucas, are you back?
Yep, I'm here.
Ah, good. Can you share your screen, please?
I can. All right, can everyone see that?
Yeah, that looks good. Thank you.
Great. All right, so we're Bovi.ag and we're securing the future for sustainable crop production. We're doing this.
Sorry, I just misclicked. You need to put your video back on.
Oh, all right. How's that?
No, you need to share your video, not share your screen. Turn on your video.
Oh.
Perfect.
There we go.
Thank you.
Is that back? All right.
Start over. Thank you.
Great. All right. So we're Bovi.ag and we're securing the future for sustainable crop production. We're doing this by introducing cost-effective autonomy to the farm. So specialty crops have a massive labor problem. The cost of labor in specialty crops has gotten so bad that it now comprises 70% of a lot of farmers' bottom line. I'll give you a quote from a grower to help illustrate how bad this has gotten. Matthew Hemley from the Central Valley says, if I didn't have to spend absolutely all my time on recruiting and maintaining labor, then I could actually spend time managing my orchard. So to try and solve this problem, we started Bovi by looking at other industries to see what technology they had and how we could reapply that in agriculture to improve labor efficiency. Warehouse logistics has had this explosion in technology in the last 20 years, starting with early mobile robotics and now getting into dexterous robotics. Agriculture really hasn't seen that same explosion in technology. This timeline's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's largely true. If you go into an orchard today, you'll see that they still use tractors, they still use aluminum ladders, and the workers in the field are about 50% inefficient. That's about to change, and it's starting to change. The biggest growers are starting to adapt technology, and it's going to take off very quickly. So these orchard growers that are able to and open to adapting technology are going to expand and consolidate most of the market, whereas the folks that aren't might be get a little bit left behind. The first technology that we're introducing to growers is the retrofit autonomy kit for tractors. And what this does is automate mowing, spraying, and fertilizer spreading. It significantly reduces costs, but more importantly, it always gets the job done. So this is what growers are really looking for, a reliable system that they can always use in a time when they can't find labor. We're also eliminating the #1 cause of death in agriculture, which unfortunately is tractor overturns. So autonomy is always paired with what's called fleet management software. Fleet management software allows you to control multiple autonomous systems at once with a single operator. We're doing something a little bit more complex with our fleet management software. We're using sensors to help growers make better decisions. So telling them stuff like, how much yield do I have in my orchard? What's the level of quality of that fruit? Do I have pests in my orchard? These are things that growers currently guess at. And they tell us that if they were actually able to tell how much yield they had prior to harvest season, they could probably increase their revenue 5% or more, which is pretty massive. In terms of unit economics for a solution like this, we're going to be charging $10,000 annually per tractor for the base autonomy. This saves growers about $5,000 per tractor. If you expand this to 1,000 acres, this drives $800,000 in values to growers over a 1,000-acre orchard. This is because we're also improving labor efficiency on top of removing a driver from the seat. We're helping with yield estimation. We're also getting rid of insurance completely for tractor drivers. We charge about $400,000 in revenue for an 1,000-acre orchard for that $800,000 in value. This equates to about a $1.2 billion SAM based on the 3.2 million acres of tree fruit in the United States. We're lucky to already have a great relationship with Rankin Equipment. They're one of the biggest ag equipment suppliers in the specialty crop industry. They're going to take care of all the hardware side. We're using standardized off-the-shelf parts, so the hardware side is pretty straightforward. The complexity is mostly in the software. Our go-to-market plan is pretty straightforward. So initially, we'll sell kits directly to early adopters. As we expand, we'll sell kits through ag equipment suppliers like Rankin. And then ultimately, we hope to partner with a Kubota or a John Deere. There's already been $200 million plus acquisitions in the space from John Deere of autonomy companies. So we're confident that we can make that happen. In terms of competition, there are other folks working on autonomy in specialty crops. We're differentiating ourselves in three major ways. First, we're focusing on orchard fruit, which has a smaller SAM, but we have great relationships in that industry, which mean a lot in agriculture. We're focusing early on fleet management, which is a critical piece of autonomy that a lot of autonomy companies often miss. And finally, we're partnering with a lot of other ag tech companies to provide an ecosystem of solutions on top of our autonomy platform to drive value for growers. So we have a team of leading industry experts to develop this technology. Myself, I'm a 2 times co-founder in the autonomy space. I have a decade of experience leading high-performing autonomy teams. My co-founder has a background in industrial robotics. He's deployed robotic arms on assembly lines at Ford, Nissan, and Toyota, and also developed in-world construction and food robotics. Jagadish Mahendran is a leading perception expert. He's won multiple international awards for his work in AI. Our advisory team is fantastic with Matthew Henley, our grower advisor, and VK Bajaja, our business advisor. We just completed our MVP and we deployed that MVP with a top California grower. The next phase for us is deploying that MVP with the biggest growers in the industry. So Yakima, Washington has 5 families, which control about 70% of the tree fruit grown in the United States. We already have great relationships with 4 of the 5 of these growers. We're going to be building those relationships over the next 9 months with the goal of a partnership investment from a couple of these growers and basically their support in building the technology. And given where we are with our relationship with them and the sales guy we just brought on in Yakima, I feel pretty confident that we can make that happen. What's great about that is that we can use that reputation going forward, not only to sell to them, but to sell to the industry in general, because word of mouth is, a big way that technology is sold in agriculture. All right, thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Really appreciate it. Let me stop sharing your screen and get this up. Andy, how about you?
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so yeah, thanks, Lucas. It was really fun to be on your due diligence team. I mean, for me, it was particularly fun because I know nothing about agriculture, so it was just like a little mini school program to just kind of understand the various aspects. The areas we really focused on were the team, just because none of us have domain expertise, so we had to really trust the founders. And the thing that we really liked is that they just have deep experience in all the things that are essential to building this product. Robotics, autonomy, AI vision, fleet management, and they've been in startups, so they kind of know what it takes to deliver a product and to move quickly. So that was really exciting. The other piece that was a complete unknown was the state of ag tech. Like, are there big acquisitions happening in this area? Is there investment to continue funding them, from this kind of seed pre-product stage to growth? The most exciting part that we learned is that in the past few years, there were 2 $250 million plus acquisitions of early stage autonomy startups by John Deere. And I didn't count the rest, but that just kind of made our ears perk up. We spent some time talking to their early customers to just kind of verify that what the Bovie team was telling us rang true for the actual farmers. And we were pretty, well, I mean, there was a couple of things. Yeah, they verified many things that he was saying about the need to cut labor, to reduce injuries. And the other piece is just that competitors in working in different crops have similar solutions. So we feel confident that this is the right product market fit and the right pricing. And also that the tractor retrofit is the right way instead of building something custom. And then just the market size, we really didn't know how many tractors could be retrofitted and what the revenue was going to look like. So we dug into those numbers. Lucas sent a lot of third-party research from the USDA, et cetera. So we feel pretty confident that there's like a big market in just this small fruit tree orchard segment. And then it becomes a lot bigger once you expand to wine and other categories. These are Bovie's kind of a pre-revenue and barely out of proof of concept company. So the risks for us were just really, can you actually sell these? Can you write $1 million deal from one of the top orchards, and how fast can you do it? I'm curious how you would give us a comfort, Lucas.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've already started having conversations with these guys, as I mentioned. They see the future coming. And so, it's not really a question of them adopting this kind of technology. It's a question of who they're going to partner with to do so. And trust is a really big thing in agriculture. So that's why we really kind of focused early on building those relationships and kind of demonstrating trust with these guys. So yeah, I mean, I feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to convert a couple of these guys over and help us build the technology.
Nice, thank you. And then of course delivering the product, right? Because it's 2 years out for the final product. This is just a big risk. I don't know if there's anything we can do, but
yeah, I mean, it takes time. The thing about ag is that the good thing is that ag does move a little bit slower in adopting technologies versus other industries. So, and for them, again, it's a lot about trust and finding the right solution. So they're willing to, work with us and spend the time to develop something that, long-term is a good solution for them. And so they're thinking in, 10 years, 20 years, because that's how long it takes to grow an orchard, right? So for them, it's about, making the right choices and moving towards those things. But they're not looking at, the next couple of years and saying that's not going to come fast enough. They're kind of thinking about the bigger picture.
Thank you. And last, I think we had a lot of questions about this from the TAAC team and investors. We understand you're partnering to deliver the hardware, and also you're planning on making your kind of platform, that tractor with the sensors, kind of like a platform that third-party software developers can make. And we were just curious about like how you think of like kind of enabling new competitors or versus accelerating your growth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so worried about new competitors. I think we have a really unique set of expertise. So, there's a lot of kind of competitive moat there. I really think agriculture is very complex, and there's lots of areas for improvement. As I showed in one of the early slides, it's pretty far behind other industries, right? So there's a lot of ways to improve and introduce robotics. So I think really we're going to succeed by working with other companies and working together towards a solution. I think it's going to be tough if we're all kind of trying to capture everything and not work together. But if we can work together, I think we can move really quickly towards a really effective solution.
Hey, thank you so very much. Really appreciate your efforts with this. Great pitch. If you want to share your deck with people in the chat, the people are showing interest in looking at the decks again. I would like to bring Matthew up from Machinery Scanner.
Yeah, sure. So let me share my screen.
There you go. Looks good.
You see it full screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just a sec. Okay, so trading heavy equipment is difficult. We make it easy. My name is Matthew Gress, and I am from Machinery Scanner, the safest online marketplace for trucks and heavy equipment. We are two co-founders, both insiders from this industry, as we used to work for the #1 advertising company for machinery in the world. While Stefano is taking care of marketing, I am focusing on sales. Klaus Jukens joined our team as lead advisor, and this is now official. Darko helps us with the financial part, and Anita takes care of our finance. This is a niche market worth billions worldwide. Every day, machines are sold and traded internationally. On the right graph, we show that the annual sales of truck and heavy equipment keep growing. Being insiders from this sector, we noticed real gaps. First, there is a huge lack of trust and transparency between dealers and buyers. Second, like in the car industry, there has been for years an increase in fraud and online scammer. Third, there was no one-stop solution for all machinery needs and no real aggregator system for trucks and heavy equipment. Machine Scanner is the one-stop solution that brings innovative tools in this old-fashioned industry. Nobody is taking care of it, and there are huge market shares to take here. So what is the dealer journey without Machine Scanner? In order to sell their equipment, dealers face many listing portals and they often do not know how to choose. They spend time talking and negotiating with different contacts and face language barriers. Finally, they often have to enter the inventory in each system manually. With Machine Scanner, dealers have only one contact, giving them access to several websites and countries. They have access to our dedicated tools to create trust and transparency with customers. And finally, we help them to send their inventory via our XML management tool. What is missing here is the trust. Machine Scanner creates it. So now, what about the dealer journey without Machine Scanner? First, buyers need to look over dozens of websites to find the right machines. After hours searching through different portals, how can they know if they can actually trust the company behind, if the machine conditions are as described on the listing, and how would they organize the shipment of the machine? Machine Scanner brings easy solution to all those complex issues. With Machine Scanner, buyer can now find results from different portals in one search. Once they found the right machine, they can check the company behind, read reviews, ask for a third-party inspection, and organize the shipment of the machine. All this from a single place, Machinery Scanner. We make the trading of heavy equipment faster, easier, and safer with dedicated tools and services. Machine Scanner actually removes barriers to international trade. So how do we make money now? Easy, we have three main sources of revenue. The subscription fee is for dealers to use our review system, certification program, and marketing tools. We bring them visibility, trust, and help them to close more sales. We also have a commission system via cross-selling agreements with partners. Indeed, we offer additional services to help dealers. Last but not least, the cost per click out. This source of revenue is not set yet, but we plan on monetizing the traffic sent to our partners. Now, let's look at our projection for the 3 coming years. The total revenue is forecasted to grow considerably each year, ending in 2025 with more than 4 million revenue for a net profit after taxes of more than 2.4 million. So you might wonder why now? Actually, the time is perfect for our company to grow as we are bringing solutions to current international issues. Our system is ready and we have the right tools to revolutionize this sector. We do not need to build or work on any prototype. We now need to focus on digital marketing and sales. So what are the advantages of Machine Scanner? We work in an established industry and focus on tangible products that impact everyone's life. We are already making money. We have running clients and show some good traction. Our product is actually validated by dealers and partners in the market. Important to mention, we already have partners from this sector to support us in the development of our company. Machine Scanner is operating in a niche market with a global impact, but you need to know that the opportunities are limitless. We could tomorrow work with rental and leasing company, offer additional services such as finance or insurance solution, integrate cryptocurrency as payment system, or actually trade machines. To finish, let me recap you our key points. We are insiders from this industry with more than 50 years of experience combined. We noticed real gaps and we have the right solution and services to solve them. We are an international and complementary team. Our sector and our business model are resilient to any crisis. We are not offering you a simple idea or project, but to be part of a revolutionary company. Please let me know if you have any question. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Let me share my screen. Anat, are you able to come in?
Yep, I'm here. 1 second, I will turn on my...
Yeah, actually should be.
But we are talking
Federico,
about the same thing.
Oh, I'm on the wrong place. Sorry. Hold on. There we go. Sorry, Federico. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So first of all, I would like to thank Mathieu and the others at Machinery Scanner for the great cooperation during this due diligence process. We focused on a few key things. First of all, understanding the team dynamics, sorry. These guys have been working together for several years, so they have demonstrated motivation also in some difficult times that they had in the past. What is more important is about the industry, which is surprisingly backwards compared to what we are probably used to in terms of technology adoption. Matteo was showing the user journey of the buyer, starting with looking in several places, in several websites. Actually, it starts by calling a dealer with the phone. So it's even more analogic, let's say, and limited geographically. On the other hand, the industry needs to be able to deepen its reach. So buyers and sellers need to be able to meet across the globe and be able to trade across the globe in an easy and trustable way. From the market side, the point here is that the current addressable market by Machinery Scanner is relatively small. We were considering Europe alone, and there is only about 100 million there. However, there is a lot of potential to expand this both geographically and in terms of additional upselling opportunities. This leads me a little bit to the remaining questions, which are actually connected to this. The first one is related to the cost of acquisition of customers. We got your projections. However, we were not able to really test it, probably also because we are not from the industry, and for us that was a little bit of a unclear point. We see the potential there, but not clear how much. I don't know if you can give some answers here, Mathieu.
Sure. Okay, great. So first, thank you for this information about us from the due diligence team. Regarding the cost of acquisition per customer, we have the numbers. So this year, of course, we didn't spend anything in marketing or sales, so the cost of acquisition would be very low. Without counting, of course, the time and effort we put into it to make it work, right? But today, to give a number, it's 55 euro per customer that we closed. Next year, so the number will go up to 440 euro for a total expense of 384,000, but a total number of customer closed of 875. In 2024, this cost of acquisition per customer will start going down to 130 euro. So because we will spend a total of 800,000 euros for all the acquisition, and we plan on closing more than 6,000 customers next year with the automatic monthly subscription process that we want to set. And in 2025, based on our projection, this number will go below the 100 to 73 euros, because here, so we will spend 1,280,000, let's say, but for a total number of customers above 17,000 customers with a monthly fee.
Thank you, Mathieu. The other part that we still have some remaining questions is actually related to the last slide that you showed. So there are a certain number of features that are currently available and need to be developed in terms of commercial terms. The question for me here is, for us actually, is you have a lot of ideas about how to develop further the business. We did not have a clear view of the prioritization of each action that you want to take. And we would like to understand here better what is the mitigation section that you have for this risk, for this planning risk somehow.
Okay, great question. Thank you. So actually today, you saw we have two active business line, right? One is subscription fee, the other one is commission system that we have. But today, our revenue stream is focusing on dealers mainly. That's what we had some confusion with the market size. Being conservative, right? We can tell that there are more than 100,000 dealers or company that could actually work with us today. So first, we need to focus on the dealer today, and then, of course, when the network and the snowball effect will start working very well. Like we saw in the previous presentation, it's a lot about word of mouth and trust in the ag industry, but also in the machinery sector as a whole. So we first need to focus on what we have now, where we are based now as well. We are in Europe. In Europe, there are many regulation. Different issues that are not happening in the US, for instance, language barriers, different law by country and so on. So we need to focus on Europe first, on the current services that we have available to offer on the dealer. But of course, then once we will start expanding our network and our market shares, gain more and more customers, we are open to add more and more services to help the dealer more.
Thank you so very much. Again, we're out of time. Really appreciate your hard work on this, and we will have breakout rooms. Can I have Yulia from S-Lab come up, please?
Hey.
Hey.
Can you see my presentation? Because I cannot.
It's coming up slowly. Haven't seen it yet.
To close all the other.
Are you on video, Yulia?
Yeah, I am.
There you are. All right. I do not yet see your
Just
screen.
1 second. Yeah. For some reason it says post. 1 second. Let me check what's happening. Okay, I think now you should be able to see it.
There you go. Looks good. Thank you.
Okay, good. So hi everyone, I'm Julia and I'm CEO and co-founder of S-Lab. Have you ever thought that durability of packaging is hundreds of years when the products in it might be in use just for a few minutes? Let's take polystyrene. Every single unit that was ever produced out of it still remains somewhere on the landfills. And even worse, it pollutes soil, oceans, and our bodies. Sustainability regulations and customer choice force companies to look for an alternative material. And our solution is a truly green packaging that consists of only two plant-based components, which are hemp and mushroom roots. And once mushroom roots are mixed with hemp, they start to bind or to glue everything together. And we get a very strong and reliable material. S-Lab packaging is 100% biodegradable. After the usage, it can be thrown with the rest of the garbage, and it will fully decompose in just 30 days. Also, our material has the same thermal insulating and waterproof features as polystyrene, and this is the same price point. But the main thing that our packaging will never end up on the landfills. It is a natural replacement of polystyrene that can be applied in several industries, like cushioning for beauty and self-care, lodgements for electronics and devices, thermal insulating boxes for food and pharmaceutics, packaging for shoes, clothes, toys, decor, and many other. We already have our first early adopters that order packaging every month and bring us up to 3,000 euros of MRR. And now we're expanding to new markets in Europe. And for that, we are building a pilot production line where we will produce and sell our packaging to those customers. There are other packaging alternatives, but first, they are not as biodegradable as we would like to. And second, they still cannot be produced and distributed at the industrial scale. But guess what? We have unlocked scalability with a simple solution where we optimize production line to fit to the mini factories that are placed in the 40-foot containers. Such containers produce 50,000 packaging items per month and are fully automated. Operator just needs to insert the raw material that we provide, and at the end of the cycle, output the packaging that is ready to be used. Such container can be deployed at the customer's premises when the demand in packaging grows. And also, we are going to grow a network of the containers, of the licensed containers around the world. And then there will be a platform where the orders for the packaging will be placed, and owners of the licensed containers will be able to execute those orders. This way, we will make sure that our packaging is available at every location of the world. So this means that we will have two streams of revenue. One from our own production facility, where we will produce and sell our packaging. And in quarter two 2023, we aim to reach to 50,000 euros of MRR with this production line. And the second stream of revenue is the service fees from the containers around the world. By 2025, we are going to have more than 300 containers around the world, with a monthly service fee of 4,500 euros. So our pipeline in a nutshell looks like that we will have a production line, and then we will scale this production line to the production of the 40-foot containers. And then we can have other types of the material in our pipeline, like mushroom board, cardboard, foam, leather. So this means that we will replace not only polystyrene, but other materials. And the polystyrene packaging market by itself is worth 13 billion euros per year. And since we are able to replace other materials, we are actually looking into opportunity of 1 trillion euros per year. On top of our existing clients and letters of interest that we already collected, we are working on the pilot projects with such big companies as L'Oreal, Samsung, and Sony. With L'Oreal, we are working for them on the packaging for their promo packs. With Samsung and Sony, we are working with the lodgements for the TV sets, and we aim to replace their current lodgements with our solution. We already have investors on board, and we are closing our investment round very soon, but there is a small room to join. We've been recognized as the best sustainability startup in Europe by Climate Launchpad and other several institutions. And we are filing 5 patents in Europe to protect our technology. And we won the grant from European Bank of Reconstruction and Development to do that. Our core team consists of 4 people. Eugene and me are 2 co-founders, and I have experience in both biotechnology and team management. And Eugene was the one who created our material and technology from scratch, and he has assembled production lines in the past. And then we hired Vasil, who has worked in Leica and Autodesk in the past, and Dasha, who has converted a famous fashion brand to sustainable packaging in just 6 months. And the main thing is that we are on a mission here to make sure that truly good packaging is available at every location of the world. Thank you very much. I'm Julia from SLab.
Thanks so much. Anat, can I have you come up, please?
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you so much.
So first of all, thank you, Julia. It was an absolute pleasure working with you and your team to do this due diligence. I think I speak for the whole due diligence team. We had a lot of fun learning about SLab and your product. Some of the things that we explored during the due diligence, we went a little bit deeper into the product. As Julia mentioned, it's made of mycelium, mushroom root, and hemp. 100% biodegradable. One of the things that I thought was impressive is, as Julia mentioned, that many competitors, you have to, put it in the compost, and this is, if you throw it out, it won't end up in the landfill. So the other thing is the patents that Julia mentioned. They're filing 5 patents in the EU, or at least starting in the EU, and then they'll go globally. It's around the production line, methodology, and the package design. In terms of customers, there is a little bit of traction. As Julia mentioned, there are 3 main customers: is the pilot customers, recurring customers, and then they have these letters of interest once they're able to support those customers. The industries they're looking at is beauty, self-care, electronics, and food. And then the team, as I mentioned, the team was an absolute pleasure. We met with the whole team. And we were all very impressed in terms of the complementing skill sets. Everybody is very driven to succeed. Everybody is very motivated. And the one thing that we did note, though, is that both Julia and Eugene are new to the startup scene. They don't have a track record of similar roles. Like I said, in terms of the composition of the team, it seemed very complementary. All of the different people have seemed very complementary. And then lastly, in the market, there's growing demand, both from a government regulation perspective, but then also from a consumer demand. Consumers are demanding sustainable alternatives, right? In terms of questions, so the biggest question we have is, can the founders scale the business after initial traction? They have a great product. Can they scale it and make it into a business? And then kind of before I let you answer, Julia, kind of with that, it's also, once they are able to turn it into a business, will the go-to-market strategy eventually be focused after traction with after the first customer industry? Will you be able to focus on that industry? Whereas the feeling right now seems to be that you're really looking for that industry. You're really looking for those initial customers.
So about scalability, I think most of the presentation that I was doing is focused around that we are building the production line, and then we are scaling the whole to the containers, and we will have a few, like 2 models. I think when we entered, we didn't know the final model, but now we are sure that it is licensing, and we will license containers. That's how we are going to scale. So we do not want to scale by building the big factory where we produce packaging by ourselves. It's not efficient in many ways, but then we will be scaling by creating mini factories in those 40-foot containers, and we will have a network of those containers, licensed containers around the world. And from our business model, it's actually in year 2, the container service fee is bringing us 15 million in revenue per year. And then, of course, this will scale gradually. So we will be developing our technology and we'll upgrade it in order to produce even more in the containers for our customers, and that we can collect higher service fees from the customers. About the market strategy, right now we are focused on 2 industries: beauty and electronics. And there are top 3 users of polystyrene in the world: beauty, electronics, and food. For food, we need to obtain the certificates that this packaging is safe to use with food, which we already know that we can do that, but this is a long process and cost process. So that's why, as of now, we are focused on electronics and beauty. And as you can see from our pilots, that it's relevant to what we are doing. It is L'Oreal and Sony and Samsung. And with Samsung, we had a very good discussion just a few days ago that they are really willing to use large amounts for their TV sets, and they are even willing to pay more. I think that probably covers the next question that you have, that for the sustainable part of the packaging, they are willing to pay more, 20–40% more. It's fine for them, absolutely.
Yeah, so right. That was the next question: is the product a reasonable alternative, specifically price-wise? Are customers willing to?
Yeah, the polystyrene price is also going up because of because it's a fossil-based alternative. We know about the deficit of the fossil materials as of now because of all of the situation, and then the price is also going up. And yeah, exactly as you mentioned, that all the regulations, sustainable regulations, they actually make them switch to something alternative, which will at the end be cheaper for them than maintain this whole sustainability reporting.
And then the other questions we had was around the containers, which you touched up on a little bit in your answers. But will the customers be interested in deploying factory containers? And are the capacity of these containers going to be enough? I know at some point you mentioned if they need more capacity, they can have additional containers, but those additional containers will be, space. So would the customers be interested in those?
Yeah, we spoke actually with L'Oreal just last week and with Samsung also about the containers concept. And with L'Oreal, well, we spoke with the Ukrainian office. In Ukraine, they don't have factory where they actually produce products, but they have logistics partners that are packing everything for them. And they want to introduce us to those logistics partners. And, when L'Oreal is introducing us to the logistics partner, they kind of, obliged to talk to us and to try to, and we specifically talk about this container concept for the logistics partner. And with Samsung, they have factories in Asia. And we are, I didn't disclose this in the presentation, but we have an opportunity to enter the Asian market through Japan, then Korea. And so this will work together fine with the Samsung, for example, that they have factories around Asia, and we can supply those containers in Asia for them, because they don't produce everything in one factory. They have several factories as well.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Learn more. We'll do the breakout rooms in just a minute. Thank you so very much, Anat. We have one more company. I know, Tomer, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you share your screen, please?
Yes, I'm sharing my screen.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Great. Thanks very much. Thanks, John, for being flexible. I hate violence. It's everywhere. One of my biggest fears as a young parent is daycare abuse. In Israel, daycare abuse is a huge problem. But when I looked into this, I found out that it's not just daycare, it's basically the abuse against the helpless, which is massive. And apparently 20% of seniors under care experience physical abuse, which is crazy. And they put a lot of cameras in all of these facilities, but still there's a lot of issues, a lot of violence going on. And because the simple reason is nobody can actually monitor this 24/7. When I looked even deeper, I found out it's not just the helpless, it's also vulnerable people. And specifically, we looked into the healthcare space and we found out that they also experience violence on a daily basis from patients towards staff. And this is crazy. So I want to tell you a little bit about us. We're basically looking to disrupt violence. We want to detect aggression and prevent violence using AI and CCTV cameras. So the way that it works, this is a simple illustration. We actually run AI on video streams. You can see on the right, there's a visual illustration of some of the AI stuff that happens behind the scenes. And using some of these techniques, we can identify if there's an aggressive behavior going on. I'll stop some of this stuff because it becomes a bit more aggressive. The results of it come up in real time in a dashboard for the customers. It pops up in a yellow marking and they can actually play it and act on it. The system is deployed on premise using a server that connects to the local CCTV cameras and then sends notifications through a mobile app or a dashboard. The technology roadmap, at the moment, we've got a state-of-the-art violence detection algorithm called CrimeNet, exclusively licensed from the Sevilla University. We're also working on developing unique IP that will allow us to do violence detection without using data. Next year, we're hoping to look into building a prediction model so we can look at people before they're actually committing any crimes, so any violent acts. The total market is estimated at close to $20 billion, and mainly because it's already spending $8 billion on managing the effects of violence. As far as traction so far, we're operating in Israel. So in Israel, we've got some good design partners. We've already signed an LOI with a large psychiatric hospital, and we've got a new opportunity just last week with a potential 200K ARR with a daycare monitoring company. We're also working with the Israeli police, have initial discussions for their investigations. On the home front, we've signed our first paying customer, which is the largest home care provider, and also a telco company called Partner, which is looking to sell the service to the home users next year. In the US, we're in discussions with two large organizations in the health space, Henry Ford, and the autism space called CARD, Center for Autism. The business model is quite simple, $15 per camera per month on average. We're looking to get to a point where we can have a $20 margins per camera, and then we'll be able to move into a unicorn stage. As far as competition, the market is divided into violence detection and aggression detection. Violence is harsher, easier to detect outdoors. Aggression is indoors, is a bit more difficult. Most of the companies operate outdoors. We're the only ones operating indoors. The way that we're planning on maintaining our competitive advantage is using unique data that we have, time to market going very quickly, and using innovation. As far as the team, myself, a seasoned entrepreneur and an experienced product manager, was the recent hire, and he's very experienced, an entrepreneur as well, built a few computer vision startups. Juan and Fernando, who are supporting us from Sevilla University, who provided the CrimeNet violence detection algorithm. Janvi is doing global operations. We've also got a couple of people doing business development, with one of them is the CTO of the Ministry of Health here in Israel. I want to talk a little bit about what we've done in the last 6 months. We've participated in TAAC #1, where we had mainly commitments. In the last 5 months, we were able to sign our first, to get our first angel investor, sign our first paying customer, and a few other great achievements. This last month, we were able to hire Moaz, a new hire in the AI space. We got yesterday approval for a 200K government grant. And we also started a due diligence process for an 800K investment by an Israeli incubator. Imagine what we can do in the next 6 months. Invested so far 50K. We've got commitments around 400K from various groups. We're in due diligence with 2 groups. One of them is TAAC at the moment, and obviously there's others, but these are the main ones. And I want to focus on if we're able to get this TAAC opportunity, we'll be able to match the government grant and actually get going straight away. We've been nominated the 20 most promising Israeli tech companies for this year, and we're in the top. I'm in the top 45 people for next year. Big humble. And I just want to end with this. The market opportunity is far greater than the vulnerable. I mean, everywhere we're looking to detect violence and prevent it. So join me in helping and protecting the vulnerable from violence anywhere possible. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Ophir, can I have you come up?
Yes, of course. Hi, everybody. So, Tomer, it was a great pleasure to working with you. And with Dan and Nico, we've done the due diligence through the last 3 weeks. And Tomer was very helpful in providing us with all the details that we want. I wanted to say that it's amazing to see the advancement that Tomer did since the last TAAC, because he was in the last group and he also reached the final 5, but there was a bunch of things that missed for us to for the investors to make a final decision. It's nice to see how things have changed. So about the due diligence, we try to analyze what are the risks that we have investing in INO, and what are the benefits obviously to investing in INO. And some of the things that came out was about the team. That Tomer had a co-founder that they decided to go different ways, and then we said, "Hey, Tomer, but you need the CTO," and he just got a new engineer, so that's great news to hear. And to see the credentials of that person. Another one of the risks that we had was thinking about how would he penetrate USA market, and what is kind of the motivation and the willingness to pay of clients towards this product, especially in the US, because Tomer had amazing projections in his financials, and then we had to ask, hey, but how did you get to? Maybe Tomer, you will also like to answer some of these questions before I go on.
Yeah, sure.
About the USA specifically. The USA, I think that was one of the things that the willingness of the US market to, because we saw the great traction you have in Israel, and you already have a paying customer and the grants, and everybody says how amazing what you're doing in Israel, but Israel is a small market, and to justify the growth that you had in your financial documents, it was mostly focused in the US, and we're all wondering more and more, how would you going to penetrate the US?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the market that we're seeing is relevant in Israel is the home care market, which seems to be larger for us to penetrate with bigger returns. And the equivalent in the US would be much greater naturally. So elders living at home with caregivers, formal caregivers, is probably about 4.5 million in the households in the US. It's a significant amount for a monthly subscription. But on top of that, we're currently using, we have 2 strong relationships with the largest autism care organization and Henry Ford Health. We've met them here in Israel. They've actually got some links here, and they're very interested in doing a pilot with us. So these will be the initial entry points, I would think. In addition to that, we also have a good relationship with the CTO of the Ministry of Health, as I mentioned. So he's also supporting us in identifying business opportunities in the health sector globally, but also in the US.
Okay, thanks for that. Another one of the top touches about competition, as you can see in this slide. I think you touched a little bit about the competition in your deck. I don't know if there's anything to add about that. As you can see in the remaining questions, we have, okay, this is the older version of the slide. Is mostly about the traction that you're going to have, about the investment that you're going to have, and about the team. I guess anything else about the due diligence that we had, everything for me was straightforward. I think the main questions that we had is Tomer had a lot of things in his pipeline that are about to happen, but some of them didn't happen yet. So that put us in a point. It would be amazing if it can come a little bit later once they happen. But then some of them actually did happen during just 3 weeks, and those were our main issues: the team and Runway, which he secured the 200K grant, which is amazing, and I think just in the right time, because I can also say that I spoke to one of Tomer's clients in Israel, the one that is doing the big pilot, the little brother, and he explained to me it was actually very encouraging conversation. He explained to me the need for these things, because once you hear, I know you straightly go to Minority Report, and then he explained to us the big problem that they have in Israel, sorry, and how they're about to solve it. And I really don't have much else to say. I don't know if I used the 5 minutes correctly. That's it.
You are right on time. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you, Tomer.
Thanks everyone for listening to all of these pitches. Elizabeth, if I could have you come up on stage, we're going to shift into the next phase of what we're doing. Elizabeth?
I'm here.
Great. So I want to introduce Elizabeth, who is our program manager for APIS Health Angels, but also the coordinator of our program for while we're doing our investments. We will take the investors off to the back room. If you're an investor, you should have gotten a note in your email or in the Slack channel for where the back room is, and we'll end up all leaving the room. While we're gone, Elizabeth is going to help people get to where they need to go. I've set up a bunch of breakout rooms, which I will activate before I leave. But Elizabeth, I'd like you to spend a little bit of time talking about APIS Health Angels and help people understand how this is working, maybe a minute or so.
Happy to do so. Thanks, everybody. So Mossy Ventures is the overall organization of John Seacrest, and he runs a number of programs, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of those. My program that I'm particularly focused on, in addition to playing tech behind the scenes here, which has been quite fun, I hope that people are enjoying the event, is that we run a similar one that actually is focused on health and life sciences companies. We have our program was held in the spring of last year, and we're going to do it again starting in February. If any companies are interested in joining us from the health perspective, applications are due by the end of January, the 28th, and I can put some links in here. If you're interested in this from an investor perspective, you're welcome to talk a little bit about how we do look at due diligence that's different when looking at health and life sciences companies. It's really just an opportunity to say there are some things that are a little bit more unique, regulatory-wise, reimbursement, and we spend a little bit more time talking about those components.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. I'm going to open all the rooms now so people can go talk to the different companies. So that should be showing up. So you should be seeing the breakout rooms show up, and I'm going to leave and make Elizabeth the host. So there we go. And we'll see you when we figure out what the answer is.
Importantly, taking my first steps into angel investing. And the next big one, of course, is going to be leading TAAC 3, a very, very difficult to follow Mateo's job. And of course, the winner that we've selected and haven't announced yet. I think it's going to be a real challenge, but I'm more excited than I ever have been for this. My whole quite short career has been in and around startups, and I think the innovation ecosystem fosters a belief that if things go well for you, you should use that to fuel the next wave of tech entrepreneurs. And I've always seen angel investing as a one-day thing, but maybe not something for now. I've had equity options as an employee, and then I moved on to start working for myself with even more exciting startups as clients. And I thought, gosh, it's kind of annoying now that I don't get a slice of the pie in these. And how could I maybe invest a bit of my fee? Which turned into the thought of, or if I have 10 clients a year, how do I boost my chances of picking the one that is going to multiply that investment several times over? And then I had another sort of concern of, well, the UK market doesn't look so good, and maybe fintechs are bubbles. So maybe I need fresh international deal flow and due diligence tips. So at that point, I started looking around for angel classes and communities to learn from, just so that I could go in with a bit of direction rather than simply rolling the dice every time. In my first few years with tech startups, I had a lot of preconceptions about the typical angel, what that person looks like. It's normally an exited founder, a celebrity, it's a rich uncle kind of figure. And you always seem to get started by accident when your friend founds a company and an opportunity to invest just lands in your lap. I think my view's really been challenged over the past couple of years, and listening to panels about angel investing, hanging out on VC Twitter, seeing posts from Startup Investor Accelerator and the TAAC1 cohort. There's one PR agency founder who I don't think is here tonight, but I worked with her very, very briefly about 3 years ago. I saw her post about her experience with the Angel Accelerator and thought, gosh, well, if she can do it, maybe I can do that too. It's a good thing if we're not all the same, but if I see someone who looks a little bit more like me, I'm much more likely to take the leap and get involved. I think I've realized that startup investing is not for the 0.0001%. It's more like the 5%. So if you're a lawyer, scientist, marketer, recruiter, software engineer, accountant, or another early stage founder even, you're probably growing a portfolio of investments for retirement. Maybe you're really bored of tracker funds. Maybe you don't really fancy real estate, and you definitely have some knowledge that startups can benefit from. So angel investing really is not quite as exclusive as I think we've understood it to be for the past few decades. I think the best thing about the Startup Investor Accelerator is definitely how different we are. This TAAC2 team is from all over the world. I think there's a 10-hour time difference between those of us in Israel and those of us on the west coast of the USA. And everybody's from very, very different industries. I particularly love working with people who don't think that they fit the mold. A bit like me, they think their expertise is too niche. They think they're too young, too old. They know nothing about startups, perhaps, or they already know everything about startups and don't realize maybe the benefits of being involved like in a program like this. Or maybe angel investing just isn't a thing in your local community. And that's definitely something that John has been working so hard to change in the US outside of its main startup hubs. And it's something that we need to change in Europe because the programs that exist so far are very inward looking, very focused on their own little bubbles and not so much interconnected across the wider European ecosystem. I think the more different we are, the better this process works. If you're somebody that likes to stir the pot, influence the success of your investments, if you really like connecting with brilliant people, then this is likely to be a great experience for you. I personally have never had the discipline to revise for textbook study. And I also don't really like the idea of moving my career right now into full-time venture capital investing. I really need a group of people to hold me accountable to go through a process and a framework for lucky behavior, because for a startup person, I'm strangely quite risk averse. I think with John's mentorship, Matteo's leadership in this program has set just an incredibly high bar for what the Startup Investor Accelerator stands for and the outcomes that we're able to achieve together. And I want to say thanks to both of you alongside Astik, and Ofe is back again, on behalf of all of us for the time that you put in and being encouraging and helping to pull us out of our comfort zones constantly, very uncomfortable, but the best thing about the experience. And I'd like to say to anyone who's watching this and wants to learn more about the program, or they know somebody who could be an amazing angel, but that person has no idea, please connect with me, please connect with John, follow the Startup Investor Accelerator accounts on social, and we hope to see you again at future events.
Cool, thank you so very much. The details of the next Seattle Angel Conference are here. You can apply as a company. You can engage with the workshops that we're going to be running. These are all the European ones. We have a collection of them for the US ones as well. And there's Lydia's contact information. So while we will start the conversation with the investors on the 16th of March, we will finish the conversation on June 1st and make that go. Let's make sure that I have everything. Yeah, good. Okay, and there's that thing again. And we did an audience vote. And so we're counting that now. And so let me come on stage here. And let me take a look at the answer to the question in the spreadsheet. Oh, sorry, where did it go? There it is. So from the audience vote of the people that voted, the winner is Matthew from Machinery Scanner. So Matthew, you have attracted the attention of a significant number of people in the audience that were thinking about what you were doing. So congratulations to that. That's a wonderful opportunity. Just to be clear, none of those people were the people that were inside the investor room voting. They were off doing something else. And so that would be a different group of people. So it's going to be worthwhile for people to chat with you in the room afterwards. We're going to do breakout rooms after we announce the winner. So
Sure,
you want to say anything about the experience, being the audience favorite and being part of the program?
Sure. So first, being part of this program, so it's a great opportunity. I really like to discuss with all investors in and out of the competition. Doing all the due diligence was very helpful for us to learn to improve our system because we had many questions. And the very good point out of this pitch competition, I think, is about the people coming from different backgrounds, and our industry is very specific. So none of you know really what is inside. So, and with the due diligence team, we went through everything together. They asked us many questions. We spent a lot of time, but at the end, we also learned out of our startup, so we could improve our system. I want to thank everybody for your interest in our company, for the time, for the opportunity. And thank you for the audience for the vote. It's very helpful. It's the first step, I would say. And now looking forward to see what's coming out of the pitch competition itself.
Yes, we will find out here in just a second. Thank you so very much, Matthew. It was great to have you as part of our program. Let me get all of my windows in order. And we have our award ceremony. Mateo, can I have you come up?
Yeah, sure. You want me to announce?
I want you. Yeah, you get to do the talking here in just a second. And the winner is, well, why don't you chat a little bit about what your experience, because you really weren't part of the due diligence process. You were doing something else. Could you talk about that a little bit?
About the deal terms part?
About being the lead investor and what you did differently than the other folks.
Yeah, I think I, mentioned this in my introduction. For the biggest part, especially during the program, the experience is very similar, particularly in the early stages. So when you look at, the tens of companies that start from the, as I said, the 1-minute pitch, the pitch deck, and then you narrow down to the quarterfinalists and the semifinalists, I think the process is very similar. And I've enjoyed it. Also leveraging the experience that I gained in the first TAAC. Definitely the group of investors, you, John, taught me how to be better at making those decisions, obviously with time. And then the main difference is that, during the process, before the cohort, before the program, I spent a lot of time engaging with people online, having calls with even many of the investors in this cohort to explain what the program is about, and to basically tease their interest in the program. Because as Lydia said, and as you say many times, there are a lot of people out there that don't know they can be angels. They can be angels, and they just don't know where to start, like I did. So it's all about education. So a lot of my time before the program was spent around that education and outreach. And then, as I said, during the program, for the most part, it was very similar. And then towards the end, I almost had to take a different direction and spend my time connecting with all the companies, understanding where their minds were in terms of valuation and deal terms, and like what kind of deal we were getting into. And it was really interesting for me, not having done a due diligence, to basically read all the reports from, like an external perspective or an external point of view, where maybe I didn't have any bias like I maybe had in the first cohorts, in the first TAAC, where I did spend time on one company. So I guess in that regard, it was easier to have a more objective point of view. But what I will say, maybe to wrap up, is that I was impressed by the quality of all the finalists. I think they've done a great job. They made some great progress. All of them are on a great mission. But as all of you know, unfortunately or fortunately, there could only be one winner. So yeah, here we are.
And the winner is?
Drum roll. Am I supposed to announce?
There you go.
SLab is the winner. So congrats to the SLab team.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't even have words. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
tell us about what this will do for you a little bit, Julia.
Yeah, so this is the part of our current round that we are raising. So this will we'll go to the whole pre-seed round that we are raising right now, and we will be building the production line and scaling it to the 40-foot containers and doing all of that cool stuff that I mentioned in my presentation. And thank you very much for this 12 weeks. It was an amazing experience. And I think I mentioned I've been through a few accelerations already with our startup, but I think the level of involvement during this program was beyond any expectations. Like every business angel was so involved into us, not only the due diligence team, but everyone else. So I really appreciate the effort of everyone, and trust me, this first money will be used wisely, and second, all of your advices, recommendations, intros, and everything will be also used for building the startup and making us a unicorn, and then thus you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. So the key to angel investing in my mind is that early pre-seed folks have a lot of uncertainty, and they have to temper the data that they have with some certain amount of belief about what they're doing. And so what we would like to do is to help you build relationships so that you can believe in people. And so to do that, we would like to reopen the breakout rooms, and you go wander and chat with everyone who's here, and we'll be around in the center to talk and help if there's anything people want to chat about. But otherwise, please go into the into the breakout rooms and
Yes,
take a look at.
I have a quick request. Can we, before going to breakout rooms, stay here and take one picture together?
Sure. Let me close the breakout room since everybody left.
It's okay.
We know that we have to have a picture for everyone. Sorry for all of the folks that are now running off to the breakout rooms. So now would be a good time to fluff your background a little bit, you know, fix your hair, and then we're gonna take a picture. We still have 43 seconds for everyone else to get back here.
Julia, if you want to do something crazy, I don't know, bring your packaging around, have the team. We'll wait for everyone to get back here.
Let me ask Eugene to come.
So 8 more seconds and folks will be here in a moment. There we go. Everybody's coming back. Do you have what you need, Astrid?
I have all I need. I need that people turn on the cameras.
Yeah. Everybody turn on your camera. Everybody smile. Fluff your background. Away we go. Thanks so very much.
We are going to do one more.
All right. One more, Eugene. There we go.
And just one more with the other page, because we are more than one page people here.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Off you go to the breakout rooms.
Sorry about that. Please go say hi to everybody. Make sure that they get a sense of how you felt about the conversation. Any feedback you have is good. If you have questions and you're a company that came in before but didn't make it to the finals, we'd love to learn more about your progress over the last 3 months. Please engage.